you think the successful person
Mhm.
is the arrival point.
Right.
But the thing is, you're looking at the arrival point, but you're not looking at their process.
Right.
You're not looking at what it takes to get there. You want the outcome, you want their life,
Yeah.
but are we willing to kind of go through
What they've gone
what they've gone
Yeah.
through to even get to that point, you know?
I'll ask you a question as you're sipping that hot coffee. Do you feel like you are a perfectionist?
No, I was kidding. Not at all.
Not at all.
So that's the only question right
That's
there.
the first one.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do feel I'm a perfectionist, but I would love to hear your deeper thoughts.
So free of faults, free of defects. In that definition, you can never be perfect.
How many months have we been doing this now?
And we've been going since we started February, the first drop. But we started filming in December.
Oh, okay, that's why.
Started filming in December. First post was in February. So what? 2 months?
Yeah, that's crazy. It's always crazy when you put it like that. It's
2 months? Bro, it feels like 5 years, man. I think it's the amount of work
Oh yeah,
that it
definitely.
takes, you know,
Yeah,
to really do like a video podcast.
yeah.
You know, it takes a lot, man. But you know, it's been a busy couple of months though. You
Mhm.
know, like with the church, we work together at the church. You know, we've had just a lot of things on our plate. You know, from the creative side of things. We had Easter. That was a big one.
Mhm.
And obviously, that's usually a big one for churches, for church creatives. But after Easter, we went right into a big outreach push called Reach Day. We had just like a lot of volunteers go out to the community and loving people, and we also had to capture that, you know, and tell just pieces of it. And then from there, we had little things like baptism, baby dedication, and then a big women's conference. And that's what we just came out of
Mhm.
this past weekend. And man, it was good. Like it's been good, like, you know, but it's been a lot. You know, what's been your experience with all of that?
It's definitely been a lot. I would say Easter, um, I wanted to use the hands that we have
Mhm.
that are willing to help. Um, so I feel for events like that, for the Easter one, I know you said it's common around the church, but it's funny because everyone kind of not that they dread it internally, but it's just like, oh, Easter, it's gonna
Yeah.
require a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
Everyone knows.
yeah, everyone knows, and that was my first time ever. Yeah, first time ever being behind
Mhm.
the scenes because last year,
I mean, you did Christmas.
for
Yeah.
Christmas, but I feel like,
But Easter is a whole different beast.
hmm
Yeah.
I feel like, what do you think? Is Christmas that production's a lot bigger? I feel like
That's
there's a lot more
fine.
going on
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
Easter.
Yeah. But Easter is more intentional to try to, you know, get people to Christ than
Hmm.
Christmas is. I feel like, I don't know. They both have their, you know, their things within them. So,
Yeah, the women's conference was really cool. It
yeah.
was the first one that happened at Church for the Nations.
Hmm.
And I don't know what day. It was like the 2 days before we were just brainstorming again, talking about it, and then we had the idea of, hey, for Reach Day. So to go back to Reach Day, we were talking about wanting to push out content fast, wanting
Hmm.
to do it as if
On the go.
on the go while
Yeah.
it's still happening.
Right.
So we want to bring the same concept to She Is.
Hmm.
The only difference is we had just you and I.
Yep.
But of course we could have stayed there and be like,
Hmm.
oh, are
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
kidding me? Two of us. But I don't think you complained once. I didn't complain once. I think it was nothing new, and we
Yeah.
were down. We work very well together.
Hmm.
We've been working very close this past year, so including last actually. But so we were ready for it.
Yeah.
It was exciting. We were in the office. We wrote down, okay, day one,
Hmm.
let's get a speaking post. Let's get, these pictures. Let's
Hmm.
get this, and this, and this for Friday and Saturday.
Hmm.
Friday went very well. We
Yep.
were,
We knocked it out.
yep,
What was that,
producing.
like 4 pieces of content that were posted in
On the
like a
go.
span of what, 4 hours or so?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was like we were in the middle of a challenge, but we
Hmm.
were willing to accept it. It was fun. and Saturday, same thing. We did not really we, that's more my responsibility, but push back a little on like posting, but
Mhm.
we had content just ready,
Ready to go.
just get, just to go ahead and get produced. And it's interesting because I feel like that's what I knew we were in the middle of is something that we just have to adapt, and
Mhm.
that's just kind of spending lots of more extra time in our days to kind of just get the content edited.
Yeah.
You know, it's not really it's not new to you as
Right.
much, as bad as this may sound, but we both had very late nights.
Yeah.
You went to bed. What time did you
I
go to
think it's
bed?
like almost 4 a.m.
Right, for you, because
and I
mine was
was
like 3 a.m.
I
So I
was
know.
up by 7:30, ready
Yeah,
to go
yeah,
the
yeah.
next day. And it's crazy because I've been doing stuff like this since 2018 was my first introduction to like a quick turnaround like this. So that was what, 6 years ago?
Mm,
Whereas like, hey, we'll film throughout the day. We have X amount of content we're gonna push by the evening time. So turnaround time is quick.
mhm,
So I kind of like got used to it. I've done that a couple of times with different things. And there was someone that asked me a question that how did I manage to have a full recap video done 15 minutes after the conference was over?
mm,
And I think I was thinking about it, and it was I had an idea of what I wanted to do going into it, right? I knew what the beginning was going to be, the middle part, so I was already putting all that together. And then when the speaker was speaking, I kind of already picked out what I wanted to put underneath the entire thing. So
mhm.
as soon as the conference was over, I grabbed it, put it on there, exported, it was ready to
I was
go.
ready to go.
That's the thing about setting goals, right? We set a goal for what, 12? Wanted to post at
12,
least
yeah.
12 pieces of content.
Mhm,
I think we ended up with like 8,
mhm.
but the thing is, if we didn't have that goal planned, we probably would have done less than 8,
Yeah.
and that's the thing about setting goals. You set a goal, and, it's something that is definitely attainable, but it helps putting that goal out there. And then eventually, wherever you reach is wherever you reach, and we'll come back to this, based on the topic of today. But yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
get into it.
yeah.
So,
It was fun. We get lots of feedback
yeah,
when the team does that, of like on the go content.
right.
I think as creatives as well, it's a good standard to set.
Yep,
You know, it's something that is a lot better to do with multiple hands on deck
for
because
sure.
you can give everyone a role, everyone a strength.
Mhm.
But once again, it was a 2-day conference, not even a full Friday. So
Mhm.
we were able to do it, but I do believe once again the goal, like I think that was the yeah, that's the beginning point of
Yeah,
being able to execute that type of stuff.
right.
Because I feel without the goal in a
Mhm.
sense, we're not really open to the vision. You said that you already kind of had the idea
Yeah.
of the reel
Mhm.
before you even touched the first piece
Before.
of edit,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So, but I feel like those come when you're expectant because you had laid a goal,
Yeah.
and even a goal, because it's such a common word, it could even be a target.
Mhm.
Just hit a little target, for the day. And from a social media perspective, literally my target was I just seen it. Okay, let's do 3, 6, 9, 12
Mhm.
pieces of Shia's content, so that as people hop on this, maybe the CF10 page, they have a chunk of
Right.
content that they can just come back to.
Right.
And then as it moves on, it just keeps getting pushed down, and yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
it,
man.
it was great.
It's good. So if you have a conference or an event coming soon and you want some quick turnaround on your event for social media, for whatever it is, let us know.
Yeah.
Slide into the DMs.
Yeah, what's interesting too is like if I mean, you may have a different way of saying this, but it was energizing.
Oh yeah.
It was
Oh
like
yeah.
filling us up
Right.
in order to kind of walk this out,
Yeah. Because
and
imagine doing something out off of 3 hours of sleep, and we're
mhm,
there for 10 hours, right?
mhm,
Imagine working for 10 hours
mhm,
off of 3 hours of sleep on something that wasn't energizing or pushing you.
mhm.
Man, you'll be done.
Yeah, yeah,
You're like,
and
I don't want to do this.
yeah, like your perspective will be in a whole different place,
Yeah.
and I think that's why it's very cool and healthy just to be able to work with another person,
Hmm.
and that's why I love working with you. It's because
Yeah,
like
man.
we can push each other.
Yeah.
You're a visionary. It's like, you can run with any idea.
Yeah.
I can come. You're editing a video, and then 10 minutes later, it's a whole different video
Right.
just because of this little idea that came in, you executed. But I love the I loved. I was thinking back, and I just loved that somehow we were so busy, so being so productive,
Mhm.
but yet it was filling us up. And we're gonna answer some questions. So
Let's
we
do
we
it.
had posted on social media, that we are gonna be doing this live podcast, and that we wanted to open up to people.
Yeah.
We've been getting lots of great feedback on this podcast.
Mhm.
Lots of people are being helped, and lots of people are becoming more curious
Right.
on what it means to be a creative and
Right.
how they can discover their creativity,
Mhm.
and how they can just get their hands in impacting the world. And so it's been cool. So when I asked the questions, got at least four different responses, but they were all relating to the topic of burnout.
Mm.
Right. And so when I even think about, how we were so busy, but yeah, it was filling us up.
Yeah.
I feel maybe I can't really relate those together,
Mhm.
but the idea that came is like that's how we can know if something is for you, or if you're
Mhm.
walking in a gift
Right.
or a talent that's been placed inside of you, or that you've
Facts.
developed,
True.
is because it's filling you up,
Yeah.
right? To the point to where you're not thinking about burnout. Your
Mhm.
perspective isn't so much of it's taking away,
Yeah.
but more it's like it's it's
It's
it's
filling you up.
it's filling you up,
Mhm.
so um let me ask the exact question that was asked was, what do you do to get past a creative block? Do you have a technique?
What do I do to get past the creative block? I think I put the thing down. I literally stop what I'm doing
Mm,
and I focus on something else. Either some other creative thing, because multiple like create we as creatives, we have multiple creative gifts, right? And so there's times when I'm working on a video and I can't seem to figure it out what I need to do. I may just stop that. I may put on a video that is unrelated to editing or whatever. I may just go play with my daughter. I may listen to music.
mhm,
I'll do something entirely different. And from there, I get a new perspective. That's it. That's the word. Perspective on the thing that I was working on.
mm,
And then that helps my head, that helps me, renew what I'm thinking on doing on the editing side of things. For example, the video, even talking about a conference, one of the videos I was working on, late night, trying to figure out like how to do a certain thing, right? And it came from a different kind of video, right? Where I saw this cutout and paste kind of thing, and I implemented it in this other like completely unrelated video,
mhm,
and that helped, break out the block that I was having.
mm,
You could pull from things that you've experienced in the past. You could pull from things that you've seen recently, and that helps you, with the block in
yeah,
that moment.
yeah, be
Yeah.
inspired by.
Another thing that even helps me is being mindfulness. When I was going through my master's in psychology, one of the things that I really focused on, my specific psychology master's degree is in enhancement. So sports enhancement, or even you could use it in creative enhancement. So one of the techniques on the psychological part of thing is mindfulness. You close your eyes, you be present, you be mindful where you are, and visualize yourself doing the thing that you want to do.
Mm,
So you could help yourself, really break out of that block, whatever it is. For athletes is, for example, like a track athlete, you close your eyes and say, yes, I could do this, I could do this, I see myself doing this. It's also something called self-efficacy. If you believe you could do something, you definitely can do it.
mm,
You'll be able to eventually achieve it. So if I believe that I could break myself out of this mental block, out of this mental place, out of this mental burnout, whatever you want to call it, then I know that I'm going to do it.
mm.
Yeah.
That's good. I love just in two words, like step away.
Yeah. Step away.
It's like step away. The word that comes to my mind right now is just consuming,
Mm,
and the amount of consuming that we do on a daily
right.
basis without even realizing it. We live in a digital era
Mhm.
right now to where, it's isn't it crazy that we're still in the beginning of it, really? Like, if you think about social media and all that, we're still
Mhm.
in the very beginning
Yeah,
stages
yeah,
of if you look at it from a very
like a large
zoomed out
yeah,
perspective.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's very interesting, but one thing that I feel that, a lot of us are becoming aware of, but also there's a good chunk of people who are kind of just on what's the word, cruise control,
Mhm,
and they're not really realizing, which I've been super guilty of. A whole day will go by, and how much have I been on my phone today? Like,
mhm,
like, and you kind of question and keep in mind that's just your phone and Instagram and
right.
whatever. That's not even the music or
Mhm.
the sermons or whatever that
Yeah,
it is that
whatever
you're
it is.
consuming.
So much.
So when we think about creative, like a creative block, everyone has a different meaning
Mhm,
of a creative block. But and from an overall perspective, I think it's just more of like I'm exhausted mentally.
right.
My thoughts they cannot
They're not
focus.
progressing. Yeah,
Like nothing's progressing right
right.
now, and I think that it's such a common thing in our world, but it's not so much something to beat ourselves up about,
Mhm,
but it's something to be aware of because
mhm,
it's like, well, when you're maybe off of your laptop or maybe doing something, creating a project or whatever it is, what how does the time before that look?
right.
One of the best things that I feel we can even do before starting, opening up Premiere Pro or whatever is, how am I stepping into this? What
Mhm,
state am I in as I
mhm,
even, create this? Because we do put that into the project,
right.
like we put that energy into the project, and I feel, um creative burnouts, they're very common,
Mhm,
but yet we have also so much control and ability to change it, just by of how much we're consuming on a daily basis. I
for
love,
sure.
love, love information.
Mhm,
I love it. But then I realize, oh, like the information necessarily still doesn't even get me there.
right.
It doesn't get me to that overall outcome,
Mhm,
like, I love sermons. I love listening, and it got to a point to where, I was listening to so many different speakers at once, and then it got limited to like three different speakers,
right.
and then now I kind of just keep it in the realm of that.
Mhm,
Same thing with music. Bro, I love how you also relate to it. Like, you can be on a laptop and it's just like you're gonna step away,
yeah.
and there's times where I've even done just no
No
music.
music, yeah.
Like no, like
I did
just
that yesterday driving home. Like, I had, like, an hour drive, and I was like, "I'm just gonna drive in silence today."
bro, you know what's so crazy is the first time I feel like I've ever forced myself to sit in silence was in traffic,
Mhm.
and it wasn't even challenging. It was just like, oh, this feels so good.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this feels so good.
I think sometimes it's good to, like we get like this, like, your year just filled with so many things. They could be good things,
Yeah.
like, but your head has to process it so much, and I feel like that's eventually that's what leads to the block is because so, talking about consuming and producing,
Mhm.
right? Because you had that thought earlier too.
Mhm.
So, this is where it comes in. So, we're taking in so much, right? Consuming so much, so much, so much, so much. Look at, like, if we were to look at that water bottle that you just put in, if you're consuming a lot of water, putting a bunch of water in there,
Mhm.
eventually, or like let's say a pipe, right? You put in so many things down the pipe,
Mhm.
it could get blocked, because it's consuming so many things, but it
Mhm.
doesn't have the outlet to go somewhere. So
Mhm.
you're consuming a lot, but you're not producing
Mm.
as much. So you get blocked from everything that you're consuming
Wow.
without putting that out somewhere.
Mm.
So this is why it's good to like we are creative beings. So God created us to be in His image. If God is creative, so therefore we are creative.
Mm.
So if we are continuing to just consume stuff and not producing it,
Mm.
it is gonna just remain blocked somewhere. It
Yeah.
needs to
It
go
needs to
out.
go
It
somewhere.
needs to go
Yeah.
out. The energy needs to be released somehow.
Mm.
So
That's right there, consuming versus producing.
yeah.
That's a really, really good point. I wanna, like, just adding into, creative blockage. If I was to ask myself from, what has helped me, uh, walk through a creative block,
Mhm.
um, and when I was thinking about it, the only thing that came to my mind is, having other people to just work with,
Mhm.
having other people to do life with.
Yeah.
And I think that has helped me so much,
Mhm.
not only because, it's kinda like like, it's also accountability.
Mhm.
It's like, maybe not accountability, but, contagious.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's contagious. Like, it's like when I'm over here seeing Akin running on 1.5 hours of sleep, but still like produces more than lots of content creators I know probably, the most. It's like, well, how? And I
Mhm.
think it's just how someone can get in the habit of consuming.
Mhm.
You've developed the habit of
Producing.
producing,
Yeah.
right? And so all the consuming that you do,
Mhm.
even if it's a lot, at
Mhm.
least it's not staying there,
Right.
and you're using it. And so when I bring in people with it, that has always helped me.
Mm.
It's always helped me, not only just to even talk and open up about
Mm.
how we truly feel about things,
Yeah.
but also just because you get to bring visions to life together. You
Mhm.
get to go experiences, photo shoots, video shoots that you wouldn't have been able to experience
Right.
if you weren't doing it with other
For
people,
sure.
right? And another thing that I can relate it to in my own life is, besides my habits that I have, or yeah, besides like the talents and the habits that I have in the realm of digital creativity,
Mhm.
what am I doing outside of that?
Mm.
What am I doing outside,
For
right?
sure.
Whether it's at home, whatever, with the gym. And for me, it's literally, I just love being outdoors. I'm very active. When I was doing air conditioning, I realized that's probably why I was like super just optimistic during that time, was
Mhm.
because I was just outside. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big part of how I'm designed, just
For
kind of
sure.
be on the move. And then
Mhm.
so making the transition into like being on the move, and then it's like, okay, I'm locked in front of this computer, blank canvas. What do I
Mhm.
do here? It was way two different things,
For sure.
but at the same time, um, it only remains a creative block if you continue to play that story in your head,
Mm.
because there is solutions.
Yeah.
There's people like
Mhm.
to your right and to your left that you can just call or text,
Right.
and just be vulnerable, and hey, this is where I'm at.
Mhm.
This is where I know I have a desire to go. I just don't know how.
Mm.
The moment that someone expresses that, you will get to the outcome a lot faster,
For sure.
because people want to help.
Oh yeah.
They just don't know. It's not that they don't know how to help. It's that they don't know how to help you if you're
Right.
not
If you're
really
not
like,
asking the
if you're not
question.
asking. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna get the answers to the questions that we ask.
For sure.
So if we're not asking the questions, the vulnerable questions, like,
Mhm.
hey, I know I've been taking photos for 6 months. I still don't know what ISO is.
Mhm.
Ask,
Yeah.
like, literally just ask away.
Yeah.
Like I promise. Because how long is that gonna take you? That's 15 seconds
Mhm.
compared to 2 more months of
Trying to figure it out.
procrastination.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when I think of creative blocks, I think, just don't allow, don't it sounds crazy, but don't allow the digital creativity be the main thing.
Mm.
This is why we must have a source. This is
Mhm.
why we must have a firm foundation
Mhm.
that is way before this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because think about it, this is just straight talent.
Yeah.
This we've talked about it before, of the whole character over talent thing.
Mhm.
Talent does not ever come first.
Yeah.
And you, there's going to be times, and once again, there's going to be like 2 days where you just go ham on
Right.
the production.
Mhm.
It's not like that's a bad thing. It's just
Right.
like, don't let that be a habit.
For sure.
Don't let that be a habit. Go get filled up,
Mhm.
right? Go get in the word. Go be in the still. Go on those walks. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Go on those hikes. Whatever it is that's going to allow you to see the true design, the true
Mhm.
creativity that is all around us.
For sure.
Has nothing to do with a laptop, has nothing to do with a camera,
Yeah.
but has everything to do with mountains and
Mhm.
trees
Mhm.
and the birds chirping.
Mhm.
Like, and I feel that will truly just light up ideas
For sure. Yeah.
within us.
And everywhere we go. Yeah, man. Question number 2.
Question number 2, another common one that we were getting. Oh, I like this one,
Mm.
which I think you liked it as well. How did God awaken your creative gift?
Ah.
And how did you know it was a part of your purpose?
Ah. It's a good question.
Hmm.
How did God awaken my creative gift? Honestly, I asked. And that's it. The scripture says, "Ask and it will be given to you." And I think I talked about this in episode 1, where this is where creativity became a thing for me. Was I was at like my last year as a youth camper, and I was just watching the drummer. This guy is going ham on the drums, and then in that moment, I was like, I want to use my gifts. I want to do that for you,
Mm.
you know. And that was the moment that everything started happening for me. This was 2009, I believe, or 2010, something like that. Then after that, prophetic word was spoken over me. That says, there's a lot of people that are good at one thing, but you're good at 5 things, and God is going to use all of that.
Mm.
And since that moment, that was 2010, 2011. Since that moment, I've been doing that. So it's been 13 years,
Mm,
really, just going ham on the different gifts that God has given me. But the first thing that I had to do was ask God to give me that gift.
mm.
And then once I did, well, the second part of the question was, how did you realize I was walking in my purpose?
Yep, how did
Right?
you know it was a part of your
It
purpose?
was a part of my purpose was, I think, the typical, go to school, get a job kind of thing.
Mhm,
And I did that, like I jumped from one job to the next job to the next job to the next job. And I lasted like 3 months at this big, corporate job and I was going in and it just wasn't, I knew that this wasn't the thing for me,
mm,
because I was going in, I was feeling physically sick every time I walked in there.
mm,
And then that's when I knew that I don't feel like any of this, is what I'm supposed to do.
mm,
But every time I was creating, I always came to life.
mm,
Always came to life. So then that's when I'm like, okay, this is my gift. This is part of what God has put on this, earth for me to do.
mhm,
It's not to sit in, not that that's bad. That might be someone's thing. It's to like work in a corporate office and provide for your family in that way, but for me, it was to use the gift that he has given me. And that's why I'm like telling everyone that, hey, there is a gift and a purpose that God has put inside of you, and you need to be able to determine that and figure what that is in order to create sustainability for your life and
mm,
to change your life and
mhm,
to uplift your life and to figure out what it is that God truly wants you to do.
mhm,
Because when you start doing that, you get to serve people, you get to, serve your family, serve others, and just glorify God in the midst of it. So,
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Earlier the 2 words were step away,
Mhm.
and now I feel like it's step in
Mm.
because it's like step in to that like just step in the direction
Yeah.
that you feel, right? So when you realize like anytime you start to just create,
Mm.
and then just you kept going in that direction years later, multiple years later,
Here we
look
are.
what was on the other side of it,
Yeah.
which it's feels like,
And I don't feel like I've arrived. I feel like I'm
exactly.
still on, bro. I feel like I'm still like, I'm not even there yet at
Exactly.
all.
And that's a bro, I feel like that is such a freeing thought because
Yeah.
I feel as humans, we can think that there's an arrival point.
There's none. There's none.
There's no arrival
There's a
point.
journey
Yes,
that you
like,
go
yeah,
through. Yeah.
and it's such a common thing to where it's like, oh, like you think the successful person
Hmm.
is the arrival point,
Right.
but the thing is, you're looking at their arrival point, but you're not looking at their process. You're not
Right.
looking at what it takes to get there. You want the outcome, you want their life,
Yeah.
but are we willing to kind of go through
What they've gone
what
through.
they've gone
Yeah.
through to even get to that point, you know? And so exactly, step in the direction. Yeah, I would say that's exactly
Those are good.
how I related to it is
Yeah.
I would relate to that as well because it's mine wasn't so much, hey, I'm gonna ask first.
Hmm.
What's funny is it was we were in Atlanta and had come up of this position,
Hmm.
and I don't remember my first thought. I'm sure it was something like, why? Like
Hmm.
me, why? You know what I mean? Type of deal. Like I don't even know anything about this.
Yeah.
But the thing is I had thought back to previous
Mhm.
desires that were in my heart, and it was in the same direction.
Mm.
So it was as if I was kind of picking it up again, and I was running with it. And that's the thing is, you know something is for you, but you just have to keep going, and then
Yeah.
you'll find out. You'll get redirected. If it's
Right.
not,
If it's
you'll
not.
you'll you'll even, I'm sure internally you'll be
Yeah.
shaken up all over the
Bro,
place.
and God is so good. It's like we think we could, go a different direction than what He wants to take us. But if we remain in who it is, even if we make the wrong decision,
Mhm.
it's for sure gonna bring us back somehow.
Exactly.
His
Yeah.
word says that everything works out for the good of
Yep.
those that trust in Him and
Mhm.
are called according to His purpose. So if He called you to a certain thing, if you make the wrong decision, if you put Him in your decision making process and you still make the wrong decision, it's
Mhm.
going to direct you
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know.
and that's beautiful, and that's it's honestly such a beautiful thing, and I think we all won't understand what that means until we're in the middle of that,
Yeah.
of being redirected,
Yeah.
but it's through kindness and through His goodness to where
Right.
we're like, "Oh my gosh, thank you."
Yeah, man.
Thank you that you actually just brought me like, help me shift directions.
Yeah,
But
bro.
thing is, how did God awaken your creative gift? Right? How did God awaken your creative gift? I'm trying to think because I had a thought of how did He awaken it, and it was through the developing
Mm.
of the gift where it just in a sense was just it kept waking up,
Yeah.
right? um and the way that we know it's a part of our purpose is when it's for other people.
Mhm.
The main thing, if it's gonna put you on a bigger pedestal, if it's gonna give you a big platform or
Mhm.
whatever, if all the desires are really just, self-centered,
Mhm.
um, it's probably gonna, you're gonna feel misaligned
Yeah.
because all the work all the gifts, all the talents, everything that's been instilled into us is for the outpouring of other people,
Right.
and I feel.
And to glorify God too. If it glorifies God and serve people,
Mhm.
then you're
Exactly.
doing it.
Exactly. So it's like, it gets awakened when you just step into it.
Yeah.
You step into it, you'll find out,
Mhm.
and, if there's any more on that, you can definitely touch on it.
Yeah, man. That's
I
pretty
think
much
that
it.
was
That was it for today.
yeah, well, we got asked what's our favorite color. You can answer that.
My favorite color. I was asking my daughter the other day. I know it's purple,
Uh-huh.
but she was like, "Huh?"
Uh-huh.
She doesn't know what those words mean yet. But every time we ask her what color she wants, it's always purple. So
Really?
her favorite color is purple.
Okay.
Mine for the longest time was red, but now it's probably black because I've been wearing so much black
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah, honestly, black you can literally can't go wrong with all black.
Yeah, man.
You can pull up anywhere, like, if it's a fancy spot, just pull up in all black and make it look good.
Yeah,
Stand out.
facts. All right, man. Let's get into the topic of today. I've been trolling you for like the past 2 weeks about what we're about to talk about today. So today we are talking about perfectionism and being perfect. I'll ask you a question as you're sipping that hot coffee. Do you feel like you are a perfectionist?
No. I was kidding. Not at all.
Not at all.
So that's the only question right
That's the
there?
first one.
Uh, yes,
Yeah.
I do feel I'm a perfectionist, but I would love to hear your deeper thoughts
My deeper thoughts.
on this
Do
conversation.
you feel like you're a perfectionist?
Yes.
You do.
Well, yeah, in a sense of like, am I very like detailed
Mm-hmm.
in the details. Like, I'm not gonna do this until this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am gonna be honest enough to say that it's a lot better
Okay.
than it even was a year and a half ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? Type of like, because then you realize like, oh, you're not really supposed to see the whole thing anyways.
Yeah.
Like, we'll waste lots of time. But
I put my notes in a different note section so you don't see it.
that's crazy.
Because we have a shared notes for podcast titles, and I put my entire note in a whole different section.
That's hilarious.
Bro. All right. So let's define what it means to be perfect, right?
Okay.
Perfect means completely free from faults or defects, or as close to such a condition as possible. So free of faults, free of defects. In that definition, you can never be perfect.
No, well, that only sounds like Jesus.
Exactly. So let's throw away the idea of perfectionism because
Uh-huh.
no one ever could achieve perfection. The best person in their field of work would never be perfect.
Mm-mm.
And this is why Romans 3:23 says, "For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God." So if we have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, we will never ever achieve this moment of being perfect. Ever. Our work would never be perfect. The things we do will never be perfect. The only person who was perfect was Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So let's throw away the idea of like anything that we do, anything we create will be perfect. It's never going to be perfect
Mm-hmm.
because we are not perfect. So there's no way to create something that is perfect.
Where do you think, like, what's the deeper reasoning behind the weakness of being like, across the whole globe,
Mhm.
that's a weakness
Right.
of us attempting to be perfect, right?
Mhm.
But there's something deeper. It's not
Oh,
wanting
yeah.
to be perfect. I don't think necessarily anyone wants to be perfect.
Mhm.
I think it's like there's like a deeper thing. So even as I'm thinking about it, like, what is it? I feel it's very close attached to the opinions of other people.
For sure.
It's the opinions of, is what I'm doing or is what I'm creating,
Is it good enough?
is it good enough? And the thing is, this is a sad part that I've been guilty of, is what am I comparing it with?
Mm.
Something I saw on social media.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Something
Right.
that's on social media, to the point to where, like, now if that becomes if that becomes my comparison point,
Mhm.
it makes sense why someone could get held back.
Right. If that becomes your comparison point to create, you'll never create
Yeah.
because then you're comparing yourself to someone else's journey when you're
Mhm.
supposed to walk an entirely different path.
Yeah,
You know.
and what and I don't wanna say I don't wanna bring up comparison as if it's, like, an overall bad thing. Of
Mhm.
course, it can be unhealthy,
For sure.
but I fell in love with this idea of, like, I love that we have the ability to be, or to compare to other things,
Mhm.
but it's just a matter of what level you choose to settle your comparison on,
For
right?
sure.
Like if you want to compete or be if you want to compare yourself to someone,
Mhm.
the thing at least let it be a person that's producing at a really good healthy
Mhm.
level that we're like, oh, I exactly I want to produce like that.
Yeah.
I want to in a sense do something similar to
Right.
this person,
Right.
you know but at the same time, it's just interesting that the deeper thought
Mhm.
into perfection is the opinions of others,
Mhm.
maybe also just the lack of preparation
Yeah.
as well, because the more equipped we are, the more prepared we feel we are. I don't think we care much about, it's like we operate in a whole different type of authority
Mhm.
when we realize we're coming prepped. We do this every day.
Mhm.
I'm not going to worry about,
Yeah.
what other people think. And that's why I had heard it one time, and take these thoughts captive for whoever's listening to this, but it's like the best time to act is when the emotion is high.
Mm.
And I've realized that is because, and everyone has realized that, to the point to where it's like we're feeling energetic, we're feeling on fire.
Mhm.
I can post eight different things right now. I don't care if it's all in one day.
Right.
You just feel good,
Do it.
and then exactly, and then that's the time to do it. And then guess what? We
The
don't
next
do it.
day, you're like, I don't want to post.
That's great, yeah, exactly, and even that night, maybe
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, I don't, but maybe I shouldn't post that.
Right.
You know, Now, if there's not anything else, I have something else to add into it.
Mhm. Oh,
Because
I got stuff. I got more stuff. Bro.
coming with the
I
heat
got
for
more
this
stuff.
one. Oh man, that's hilarious.
There's this thing that I wrote though. Trying to be perfect actually keeps you from achieving the things and getting those things done. Because you're trying to be perfect. It goes to, the same thing that I was saying. You're trying to perfect, you have an idea of something that you want to do, but you want it to be such like a piece of art that because you would never achieve that, it actually stops you from doing the thing that you're
Just want to
supposed to do.
reflect our creator.
You know, you just want to reflect God. It never called you to be perfect. It called you to
I know
be.
that's true.
He alone is perfect. He
Yeah.
just called you to be.
For
You
for
know,
context,
yeah,
Akin has flamed me multiple times because he believes that I should have. How would you word? Personal social media
yeah,
should look a lot different right now, which I agree. If there's
mhm,
a massive desire,
yeah,
I'm sure you've sensed that. But my thing is where he brings up the perfection is it's more in the realm of, for me, it's like I don't like, if it got to a point where if God doesn't breathe on this idea, I don't want to put it out.
hmm
And it wasn't so much even like the idea of a video, it was just like even me as a person.
hmm
It's like if there's still why would I put myself out there if I'm not in a sense ready? Like I know it's like there's a time,
hmm
and I feel like I got comfortable with that concept
right,
of, oh, there's a time to, to plan, there's a time to act,
hmm
type of deal. But I can definitely say that, if we stay there,
hmm
when as I stayed there,
hmm
what I'm realizing right now, and it relates to the consuming versus producing,
hmm
go ahead, you can stay there, but now you're just going to stay
Just gonna
consuming.
stay there,
You're going to stay in the consuming, and then you're going to experience mental fatigue,
right,
all these battles that aren't even or it wasn't even ours to carry,
hmm
type of deal.
and then it takes a lot more to get to where you actually want to be.
Exactly.
Now
It's a
you
lot
have to
of,
fight a lot more things. You mentioned some briefly about God breathing life into it. It's like, yo, God already breathed life into you.
mm,
You are his piece of work, his piece masterpiece. When he created man, it said it was very good. When he created everything else, it said it was just good. But for man, it said it was very good. So he has breathed life into you. So you don't have to wait for him to breathe life into something else. He's already told you to go do.
mhm.
subdue the earth, multiply. This is your way of it because he has given you this gift. So it's almost like when God gives us a gift and we don't use it, we're telling God, I don't want this gift. Give it to someone else or give me a different gift. He's giving it to you for you to use and for you to.
Yeah. That's I mean, great insight right there, because it's I mean, that's exactly true. It's like why wait for more of God's breath?
Right.
You
When
know,
it's literally inside of you.
yeah, and another challenge that I was kind of just battling with myself was um with having responsibility over another Instagram account. It was like, I feel this is a time to not focus on me, to put lots of effort, lots of energy, lots of experience into this. This will come by itself because of the experience and the knowledge. And I feel like new desires will just kind of come up because of the experience here.
Yeah.
So it's another thing that I feel.
You know my answer about this already, so.
What is it?
Bro,
Let's
you
hear
already
it.
know. My answer is like this. Okay. Yes, put the energy to build that thing, but also put the same energy to build your thing. Because those things are two different things that God has called this, for one reason, and it's called you for a different reason. So now you're missing out on people that you're supposed to help with your page because you have a different audience and you're not helping them. And now, so I'm not saying this because I've been there, bro, and I still battle with this constantly. Where it's like, man, I don't want to do this now. It's like you always constantly have to push yourself and say, well, if God has called me to do this, who else is gonna do this? There's all the people that He has called to walk in the same realm as us, but there's no one that He has called to do it the way you're supposed to do it. So, and that's why I think I'm passionate about that. Is trying to help. We're trying to help creatives and push creatives because I've been there. Bro, I had a love-hate relationship with social media, with everything. Where I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do any of this, and just like then I kept on being reignited and reawakened that no, this is a mountain, the arts and entertainment mountain, the media mountain that God has put in within us to conquer. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take years. So why wait another couple of years when it's already going to take years? Why wait another couple of years before you start, breaking down those mountains?
It reminds me of something that I heard before. I hated hearing it, to be honest, but it was also inspiring.
Yeah.
But it was like, you don't have, or let me think about it. You don't, dang it, you don't have time to waste. Never mind, I lost it.
Dang.
We don't have you have time, but you don't have time to waste. So it's like, and I was inspired, but then it's still irritating me because I was like, dang it, I still gotta go do something right now.
Yeah.
But it is a beautiful thing because it's in a sense like, go do it, go challenge yourself, go push yourself, go make something imperfect.
Yeah.
Go
make something imperfect because it's never gonna be perfect. Ever.
Yeah.
But what we could be is excellent. And that's what I want to be. I want to be excellent in everything that I do.
And what does that mean?
Excellence is I thought I searched the definition from the dictionary, but let's look it up right now. Why don't we?
Because we hear, what, like, to do something in excellence. But if we're not asking the question of what that really means, I feel like it's just, oh yeah, just go do something good, go do something good. But I feel like it's deeper, because it's something that comes from our essence that we put into the work.
Yeah.
So
for sure. The dictionary says extremely good, outstanding. You are outstanding. You're standing out from the rest, right? And that's exactly what God has called us to do. It says stand out from the crowd, right? So being excellent is that. Like our work should be extremely good. We should push ourselves to a place where we know our crafts. We know exactly what we're doing. We know the amount of effort that we're putting into it. So therefore, it's going to be excellent. It's never going to reach perfection, and we shouldn't strive for perfection because we're going to fail every time. But we could be excellent. We could be really good at what we're doing. And that's what, everyone is trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what you're trying to do. So, yeah, I think the thing of perfectionism is this: if we strive for perfection, you'll never get there. But if you lean into your imperfections and aim to make those stronger and better,
Mhm.
you'll be closer to Him
Mhm.
who is perfect.
Mm. I think we heard at Jesus or Jesus image. He had brought up just two words: lowliness and
Mm-hmm.
holiness,
Mm,
and what God does with those two.
mm,
Like bring Him your weaknesses, bring Him you at your
right,
lowest state
right.
of you not knowing what the heck you're doing, and then bring your holiness and watch God just watch Him work through you
Yeah,
in our actions.
yeah.
I feel like just overall as we just wrap this one up is it seems like after all we talk about, our responsibility is to develop
Mm-hmm.
what we already know we're going in the direction of.
Yeah.
So if someone's already had, maybe started something,
Mm-hmm.
um, that is where I feel we can stop, is because we think we think the gift or the talent develops itself,
Mm,
but we are the developer of it. So just keep going towards it, right?
yeah.
Keep tackling it. Make sure you get, this is not a scientific study, so don't quote me on the minutes, but get 20 minutes in
Right.
on that one thing every single day
Yeah.
and
Until you
watch.
get to your 10,000 hours.
Yeah, because that's actually
Yeah.
scientifically proven,
Yeah.
right? 10,000 hours into a craft
Mm-hmm.
until you become just basically what is an expert or a
Yeah.
master of
Expert.
it. So it's like just tackle it every day.
Yeah, man.
Think about all the other things that maybe you want to do, whatever, but you only do it 2 days out of the 7,
Right.
and then 4 months pass by, and then we can't expect the results.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really put the daily action
Right.
in, or the
Into it.
work.
Yeah.
So that's what it seems like, is just develop it.
Yeah.
It's like how do you know, work how do you know you're creative?
Mm-hmm.
One, by believing the word of God.
Right.
Get that into your mind. Like
Mm-hmm.
get like literally reaffirm that every single day,
Mm-hmm.
every single time a thought comes in,
Mm-hmm.
that it's pulling you to in the different direction. Remind yourself who
Yeah.
God has created you. Remind yourself who He sees you as.
Mm-hmm.
Right? God does not see us how we see us.
Yeah.
We see ourselves as, or not necessarily us, but there could be a person who's like, oh, I'm not creative, or
Mm-hmm.
I can't impact a person, whatever.
Yeah.
But do you understand that God sees you through the lens of who He's created you to be?
Right.
So it's like just reaffirm that, and everyone goes through that.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has to, be renewed in their mind.
Yeah.
Everyone has to, and I feel like that's where it's okay to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling myself that it's okay to be patient,
Mm-hmm.
but you have enough experience right now to go
To do
do
something.
more,
Yeah.
To go do more than you have.
For sure.
So it's like, once again, how do you know, or, how was it worded? Like, how do we,
How do we know that we're working in our purpose
yeah,
or our
how
creative
do you
gift?
know
Yeah.
you're like, we're walking in it?
Yeah.
Is just by you developing it will
Mm-hmm.
create the confidence.
Right.
Like I mean, yeah, confidence can come naturally and just
Mm-hmm.
straight from the jump. But if it doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
right, like just work towards it,
Right.
right? So you can think about all these NBA players, or, yeah, just all these great NBA players.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the work that was put in
Man.
to be LeBron.
Yeah.
Think about the work. I mean, he's still working,
Still
and
working.
he's still investing lots of money into his health.
Yep.
People are realizing, like, is this guy a superhuman?
Mm-hmm.
But I think just with all the new information that's out there,
Yeah.
all the new resources that are out there, he's just taking advantage of it
Mm-hmm.
in a time that wasn't before,
For sure.
and he's doing it, and
Yeah.
he's still, they just made it to the
Still.
playoffs. So
Yeah, man.
not that I care about Lakers, but not that I don't think we've ever even talked about sports on this podcast.
No, we haven't, because I haven't been watching sports in a long time.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, this was good. Like, I'll leave you with this. There's this quote by John Maxwell: "If we're growing, we're always going to be out of our comfort zone." So if you're doing something and you're pushing yourself to be excellent and you're doing the things God has called you to do, you're not going to be comfortable. It's going to be a stretch. It's going to be a stretch. Doing this podcast for me, it was a stretch. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable in it, but I'm pushing myself. I always want to push myself to a place where I'm not comfortable doing something.
Mm,
That helps me grow into the
yeah.
person that God wants me to be. And we'll leave you with these three things. Like you said, the first, I have this three, what would I call it? Three concepts. First one is to believe. Believe in who God has called you to be. Believe in the things He has placed within you. Believe in the creativity and the gifts He has given you. Two, create. Go create using those gifts that He has given you. Create the things that God wants you to create. And number three is to influence. Influence other people to do
Mm,
the same.
mm,
So those believe in who God has created you to be and the gifts He has given you. Create with those gifts and 3, influence other people to be a part of it. So yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
Literally faith in action right there.
definitely.
Faith in
So
action.
yeah, man, like we always say, we're created to create, so go create something.